Do you want to know what that confusing array of numbers means on the sidewall of your tyres? Well, I'm going to explain it to you in this video. Hi, my name's Andy and this is the Q4 channel, and in this video I'm going to explain all of those numbers and letterings that are on the side of a tyre. Because let's be honest, unless you know this stuff, what does it mean? But before I get into the video, I'd just like to say thank you so much to all of you who've already subscribed to this channel. It means so much to me, and those who've left comments, given me a like, shared the video, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. But of course, you know what's coming next. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the bell icon, that way you don't miss out on future content that I shall upload. And as always, leave a comment and also a like. Thanks very much. So let's get into this video. All those confusing numbers on the side of tyres and letters. So I googled before making this video the most common tyre size in the UK, and it was 205 55 R16. I was led to believe that wasn't the most common size anymore because somebody in the industry told me that a 17-inch had become most common. But obviously it was lies and propaganda, because it's still, according to Mr. Google, 205 55 R16. So what do those numbers mean? Well, to be honest with you, those numbers are bonkers. A bonkers set of numbers, because the first three mean millimetres, the next two mean a percentage, and the last two are inches. I mean, who decided that that was a good combination? Talk about trying to confuse you from the get-go. So let's start off. 205 is the size of the tread from sidewall to sidewall. In millimetres is 205 millimetres wide. That's all that means in millimetres. Now, 55 is the side wall. That is the depth of the sidewall in a percentage of 205. So 55% gives you the depth of the sidewall. Okay. And of course, the 16 is the size of the wheel in inches, 16-inch wheel. See, once it's explained, it's not quite so bonkers. So 205 is the width of the tyre from sidewall to sidewall in millimetres. 55 is percentage of that 205. That gives you the sidewall depth. And then 16 gives you the size of the wheel it fits. So what do the other numbers mean? Well, the R, when it says R16, that letter just means that it's a radial. You'll very rarely in this country get a tyre that isn't anything but a radial. I remember when I was a kid, I remember TV public announcements on there telling you not to put a cross ply on the same axle as a radial. I can't remember the last time I've ever heard cross ply being used. They sort of faded out. It was like Betamax and VHS, you know, one outstripped the other one. So radial is what they are. So when it says R16, some might say ZR. What does the Z mean? Well, nothing. It's just an affectation. It used to represent a speed rating many years ago, but it became obsolete because the Z was the highest rating, and it meant this car would do 100 and whatever miles an hour. But the technology in tyres and also the technology in cars is so much better that now you've got cars that would strip that rating and strip that speed. So it became an obsolete letter in the speed ratings. So some manufacturers put it down as ZR and then the tyre size. It's just an affectation. It really doesn't mean anything. But it looks good, you know, it's not just an R, it's a ZR. doesn't mean anything. So what else is on that tyre that you really should pay attention to? Well, the next one would be the dot code. Now, what's a dot code? Well, it's DOT, and it stands for Department of Transport. Makes sense, doesn't it? So it's a Department of Transport code. Now, the first letters and such like, and there could be up to a dozen or more letters and numbers there, all they notate are the manufacturer and also the plant it was manufactured and country, and also a batch number. Because if anything happened with this and maybe caused an accident, maybe it delaminated or something happened to it, they could chase that back to the manufacturer's plant and also the batch number that it came from and at the time it was made, and see if it was just that one tyre that was the problem, or there was a problem and would need to be recalled so that they keep up with the safety. So that's the first part of the dot code. Not really anything to worry you about. Now, in a clear panel, and it's usually a clear piece of rubber, usually an oval, but there'll be a 4 numbered stamp in there. This you do need to pay attention to. This is when the tyre was manufactured, how old it is, if you like. So the first 2 numbers denote the week it was manufactured. So it goes from 01 to 52 weeks in a year. The second part of that number, the second 2 digits, note the year it was manufactured. So if you were buying a tyre off the shelf and it said 25/16, well, you'd know that it was manufactured in week 25 and in the year 2016. And seeing as we're at the fag end of 2019, you know that that's over 3 years old, that tyre. Yet the person selling it to you is selling it to you as new. Well, I don't think 3.5 years old is new. So, if you know this, maybe you've got a bit of haggle room. Or you could demand a new tyre, newer tyre. Anything within 6 months or a year is classed as new in the tyre industry. Let's be honest, they don't perish on the shelf within 5 minutes. You know, they have got a good shelf life. Because let's be honest, how long do you have them on your car? If you're not doing a lot of miles, you might have them on for years. But if you're buying a new tyre, you want as new a tyre as possible, don't you? So you have a look at that dot code. It will tell you how old that tyre is that you're being sold. So what else is on that tyre? Well, they'll have a wear rate on it, and it will say wear rate, and it'll have a number, 100, 200, 300, 400, whatever. Now, a lot of people think that the wear rate and the number is an industry-wide standard, and it's not. This is information that you probably don't already know. It's not an industry-wide standard, it's the manufacturer's standard. So if it says a wear rate of 300, all that means is it's 3 times better wear rate than one that's marked 100, or a 400 rating is twice as good as one that's marked 200. But only for that manufacturer. You can't compare like for like. You couldn't say get a Continental tyre with a wear rate of 300 and a Michelin tyre with a wear rate of 300 and say they're the same. No, they're not, because you don't know what their criteria is. Michelin's criteria may be better than Continental, or vice versa, but you don't know because it's not an industry-wide standard. So all it means is that in that company, that wear rating is better than or worse than a higher or lower number. A lot of people don't know that, so keep it to yourself. Of course, then you've got a temperature rate. That means what is the safe temperature that the tyre can run at constantly, because friction is caused within the tyre when you're driving it on the road. Of course it is. It creates temperature. It'll have a temperature rating on saying what is the safe parameters or high end for this tyre. There's also the same thing in there for pressure as well. It'll give you the highest pressure that the tyre is safe to run at. Not what the tyre pressure is for that tyre for that car. That will be on the car. It'll either be in the manual that you came with your car, or in a lot of cars it's inside the driver or passenger's door. There'll be a strip there and it'll give you the tyre size and the pressure it's supposed to be run at. Some it's in the fuel flap. My car, it is in the fuel flap. So that's on the car somewhere, or you look in your driver's manual and it'll tell you what is the right tyre pressure for the tyre that's on your car. So let's look at other numbers. It might say, for instance, 91V or H. Well, what does that mean? Well, the 91 denotes a load rating. That means how much that one tyre can safely support. Not how heavy your car is, or van or lorry or whatever, because there are 4 tyres and the weight of the vehicle is spread across the 4 tyres, unless you've got a 3-wheeler. So that means that how much that one tyre can take. Also on the sidewall in small lettering, it will tell you what the load is for that tyre, which seems a little redundant, but if you were to take the 91 and it was to tell you that it's 110 kilograms, well, unless you know what that 91 relates to, you're in the dark still. So it has got it written small on the side, the load rate and the kilos or pounds that it can take for that one tyre. So what about the V rating or H rating or whatever? Well, that denotes speed, how fast this tyre can go and constantly remain at that speed. You can go faster than that speed, but it's not recommended that you maintain it. You might just accelerate past it. Doesn't mean that it'll explode because you went 1 mile an hour above what their rating was. It just means that under their examination of the tyre is the speed that they said it can go up to and maintain. Okay? Now, usually in that scenario, there are many letters, and usually the lower in the alphabet the letter is, the lower the speed, and the higher in the alphabet the higher the speed. Except for H for somewhere, that comes 2/3 the way down. I don't know why. Like I said with the 3, 2 and 2 numbers at the beginning, all being different donation, I don't know why. I don't know why H comes all the way down. It goes QRSTHVW. Why? I think it's a historic thing, but it makes me giggle just to see that completely out of place. So yeah, there are different ratings for the speeds. So that's what those numbers mean down the side. The parts that you need to know the most are the size of the tyre, the percentage to give you the sidewall. That's why if you put on a tyre that's got a lower profile, say you bought 205 35 R16, and you think to yourself, well, it's the right width, it's the right size, it's only that 35, and you don't know what those numbers mean. That means it's got a lower profile, which means you tend to get the lower profiles on the sportier looking cars. Oh, it makes your car look sportier, doesn't it? Only you've now changed the radius, so it's going to throw out your speedo. So you might think you're doing 30 and get flashed by a camera, because in actual fact you're doing 35 or 36, because it's thrown out the ratio of your wheel and thrown out your speedo. So it's always a good idea. You can have a lower profile, but you probably need a 17-inch wheel so that it keeps the same radius. This is why it's important to know what these numbers mean, because you can start kidding yourself that, oh, it doesn't matter if I put that on instead of that because it fits. It's not right. In later videos, I'm going to be talking about what the labels on the tyres mean, because they're not on the side of the tyres. Their labels donating other things. Also, I shall be going to talk about winter tyres, whether they're a good idea or a bad idea, or maybe there's a good compromise between a summer tyre and a winter tyre. But they're for future content. So that's what all of it. Hopefully this has been informative for you. Maybe you've learnt something you didn't already know, or you know somebody who doesn't know this and would be a good idea for them to know it, because I really think that everybody should know this about tyres. So share the video. Also, leave a comment down below. Tell me if this has been informative for you. Tell me if it's been useful. Tell me if you've learnt anything new. Of course, always leave a like. It means a lot to me. I know, I'm shallow. But of course, subscribe, hit the bell icon, that way you don't miss out on future content. And that's the end of this little talk, except for some humour. So, a guy's won the lottery. He's won multi-millions on the lottery, and he's done the usual things that people do when they win a lot of money. He's bought the big mansion, he's got the big luxury car or two. He's been around the world, he's visited places he never thought he could go. He's been to top restaurants and ate food that he never thought he could ever afford. He's done all the usual things. But then he finds, I'm kind of alone. I want a pet. So he goes to one of the top pet stores in London that sell exotic animals, because he's thinking, I want something a little unique. I want something that's just not, it's not your dog, your cat. It's something a bit unique. So he goes and sees the owner of this pet store, and he says, I'm after a pet, something that, would be a talking point, something that's a little bit unique. And the guy says, how about a shark for your swimming pool? He goes, what would I want a shark in my swimming pool for? I can't swim in the swimming pool then, I'll get eaten. No, not a good idea. He goes, well, how about a llama? He goes, yeah, but that's an outdoor pet, really, isn't it? It's, I'd have to take people out and go, hey, come and have a look at me llama. No, I want something that people are going to say, oh, wow. And he goes, well, how about a kimono drago? What? And get bitten to death by, they're poisonous bites. No, I don't want something like that. I want something that's safe, but you can see, and it's like, wow. And he goes, how about an octopus? He goes, ooh. Tell me more. He goes, well, it's in a tank. They're a beautiful creature. He says they can be the centre of your talking piece for you when you have a party and that. He goes, have you got any? He says, yeah, I'll show you one. And he takes him over to quite a large tank. And in there is a reasonably sized octopus moving around. He goes, oh yeah, I love it. I want it. I want that. He says, but I don't want that tank. I want a big tank, a really big tank. He goes, oh, okay, yeah, we can sort that out. He says, it'll cost you a lot. He goes, no, money, no object. I want a big tank so I can have all of the, I want everything, all of the pumps, all of the right water. I want everything set up. And he goes, not a problem, sir. So a week later, they've installed this octopus in his ballroom in his mansion. And it's a huge tank, and it's got all the coral and everything, and all the stuff he needs to feed it, and all the pumps and all the stuff to clean it and such like. And there's this octopus swimming around, happy as Larry. And he goes, oh, it looks fantastic, this is great. And just before the pet shop owner leaves, he puts a shovel against the side of the tank. He goes, what's the shovel for, mate? He goes, oh, I guess that's for cleaning the tank out, isn't it, when it needs cleaning? He goes, no, sir. He says, the shovel is, well, when you switch your lights off at night and close your house up, he said, the octopus will think it's back at the bottom of the sea. And there's not really anything that can keep an octopus in. They are literally Houdinis. So you might find that it's not in the tank anymore, he says, and that basically the shovel is for you to scoop it back up safely and pop it back in the tank. He goes, oh right, okay, fair enough, thanks very much. So that night he goes to bed, switches all the lights off. The next morning he comes down, there's the octopus stuck on his ballroom floor, and it won't move. He's got this shovel, he's getting it under the tentacles, and when he gets one up and tries to get another one, that comes back down and suckers down. He's sweating his head off. He's been trying this for an hour and he just gives up. He rings up the pet shop owner and he says, look, This octopus, lovely, fantastic, he says, but it's stuck on my oak ballroom floor and I can't shift it. He goes, don't worry sir, I'll be there shortly and we'll sort it out. He goes, well, please do, I'm frustrated. So the pet shop owner turns up and he says, could you just show me how you've been trying to lift the octopus? And he goes, well, obviously I've been doing it, and he's getting it under the tentacles and he's doing the same thing he was doing earlier, and of course as he gets one tentacle up, another one comes down and there's 7 still stuck on the floor, and he goes, oh no sir, he says, that's not the correct way to use the shovel. He says, may I? He goes, sure. Pass the shovel to him. The pet shop owner walks up to the octopus and goes, whack on its head. The octopus goes, oh you sod, and he just scoops it up and puts it back in the tank. So apparently that's how you get an octopus back in its tank. There's nothing wrong with a little giggle. Anyway, you people, as always, be happy, be healthy, but above all else, take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? Goodbye now.